The Splatoon series built its massive fan base on fast-paced 4 vs 4 competitive multiplayer and ink-coating chaos. Splatoon Raiders throws out that traditional rulebook to deliver something fundamentally different on the Nintendo Switch too. This spin-off adventure swaps out standard arena matches for run-based action-packed island raids, before jumping into this new frontier on launch day. Understanding how these mechanics work will change how you approach the game. Here are 15 things you need to know before you buy. Instead of dropping into structured, predictable turf war matches with fixed timers, Splatoon Raiders shifts the entire core experience into a full-fledged roguelite action game. Every single expedition out into the wild tests how far your current gear, reflexes, and tactical decisions can carry you before you're forced to retreat or risk losing it all. Defeat out on the islands means losing your temporary mid-run power-ups and active abilities, but you keep all the valuable salvage, materials, and currency gathered along the way. Returning to base camp lets you invest those hard-earned resources directly into permanent skill trees, statutory boosts, and weapon modifications that make subsequent runs noticeably smoother. Fans who fell in love with the procedural tension of games like Side Order will find an even deeper, more expansive mechanic here. Every excursion feels purposeful, because even a failed run contributes directly to your long-term power. Carrying all of that upgraded gear into battle requires someone capable of welding it together, which brings us to the centerpiece of the story. You take control of the mechanic, a brand new customizable protagonist stranded in uncharted territory after an exploratory expedition goes off the rails. Character creation gives you full freedom to customize your Inkling or Octoling with distinct outfits, hairstyles, work gear, and practical cosmetic touches that fit the rugged island aesthetic. What makes the mechanics stand out compared to previous agents in the series is their hands-on tactical approach to combat. Alongside traditional ink shooters and splat weapons, you deploy heavy wrenches for melee strikes, construct automated ink turrets on the fly, and calibrate custom ink tanks mid-combat to adapt to changing battle conditions. This practical toolkit creates a distinctly grounded playstyle that sets the character apart from standard Inkopolis squids. While the mechanic handles the heavy lifting on the ground, you won't be surviving these dangerous islands entirely on your own. Deep Cut makes a triumphant return, serving as both your narrative guide and direct aerial support throughout every expedition. Shiver, Fry, and Big Man pilot a specialized hovering construct known as the Bot Buddy, floating alongside you as you navigate the island terrain. Before deploying, you select which member of the trio operates the drone, directly customizing your active support abilities during the run. Choosing Shiver gives you access to high-damage, precision-targeted laser strikes on elite targets. Selecting Fry unleashes massive, sweeping area of effect ink blasts to clear out dense swarms of enemies. Picking Big Man deploys defensive barriers and healing aura pulses that keep you alive during sticky situations. Having that constant air support provides immense tactical versatility while treating players to a steady stream of banter and personality between encounters. All of this tactical firepower becomes absolutely essential once you step out of base camp and take a good look at the volatile world around you. Exploration centers entirely around the Spirhalite Islands, a sprawling, uncharted tropical archipelago thrust up from the ocean floor by sudden tectonic forces. Ancient ruins, dense overgrown jungles, and flooded cavern systems cover the land masses, creating a setting that feels vastly different from the polished concrete and metallic arenas of previous entries. Environmental hazards play a central role in every run, forcing you to constantly evaluate your surroundings as toxic mud pits, sudden lightning storms, and rising tide levels reshape the battlefield in real time. The island geography layout shifts and reconfigures between expeditions, guaranteeing that resource locations, enemy choke points, and secret treasure rooms are never in the exact same spot twice. Navigating these treacherous biomes demands sharp movement skills and environmental awareness, whether you decide to chart the unknown wilderness on your own or bring along extra firepower. Nintendo designed Splatoon Raiders from the ground up as a fully fleshed out single-player campaign that stands on its own merits. Solo players can take on the entire story, conquer every boss, and uncover the mysteries of the archipelago at their own pace without ever feeling forced to hop online. When you do want to team up, the game features seamless drop-in, drop-out co-op for up to 4 players across local, wireless, and online multiplayer. Dynamic difficulty scaling automatically adjusts enemy aggression, spawn density, and health pools in real time to match your exact squad size. Tackling the islands alone creates a tense, methodical survival experience where resource management is key. Bringing 3 friends along transforms the adventure into a high-octane team-focused brawl where coordinating weapon setups and air support skills becomes the name of the game. Launching a successful raid comes down to mastering the rhythm of the game's core mechanic. Every run starts at your hideout ship where you choose your entry point on the archipelago map and lock in your starting loadout. Once you drop onto an island, the gameplay transforms into a high-stakes gauntlet of clearing sector zones, harvesting rare ink deposits, and defeating territorial enemies. Every sector presents a choice between taking safer paths with modest rewards or pushing deeper into high-threat zones packed with rare materials. Reaching the extraction point safely allows you to bank everything you harvested, whereas pushing your luck too far risks losing temporary perks when splatted. That constant gamble between playing it safe and pushing for one more zone keeps every expedition incredibly tense. Master this mechanic and you unlock the resources needed to experiment with game-changing movement abilities. Traversal in Splatoon Raiders goes way beyond standard ink swimming thanks to powerful artifacts known as salmonid relics. Scattered across the islands or dropped by mini-bosses, these relics grant dynamic movement augmentations and passive traits during a run. Equipping specific relics lets you perform mid-air dash maneuvers, chain together wall jumps across steep cliffs, or glide through enemy ink without taking damage. Stacking momentum-boosting relics turns your inkling or octoling into an absolute speed demon across terrain. Combining these mobility upgrades with your offensive gear changes how you navigate encounters, allowing you to zip around giant enemies and reposition instantly. Those movement abilities become even more devastating when paired with weapons that grow stronger alongside you. Weapon progression takes on an entirely new dynamic in Raiders because your firearms and ink tools evolve in real time as you play. Starting a run with a standard Octobrush or Blaster gives you basic stats, but defeating enemies and gathering energy nodes triggers mid-run weapon level ups. Reaching higher weapon tiers lets you pick between branching upgrade paths, transforming standard firing patterns into massive multi-shot bursts, elemental shockwaves, or longer-range blasts. A basic ink shooter can evolve into a heavy-hitting automatic cannon by the time you reach an island's final sector. This dynamic evolution means 2 runs using the exact same starting weapon can end up playing totally differently depending on the perks chosen along the way. You're going to need every ounce of firepower you can build, especially when facing the dangerous local fauna inhabiting these islands. Enemies on the Spirhalite Islands aren't the standard salmonid forces players remember from Salmon Run. Isolation and extreme environmental conditions have created aggressive regional variants known as salted salmonids. Crystalline salt armor covers their bodies, granting enhanced defense against standard ink attacks and demanding precise targeting on exposed weak points. New enemy archetypes like spring chums jump across massive distances to close gaps instantly, while heavily armored sparkies emit electric fields that disrupt ink mobility. Taking down these territorial creatures requires constant movement and tactical awareness, as they coordinate attacks in aggressive packs rather than mindlessly swarming. Defeating these aggressive mobs is tough enough, but they serve as mere warm-up acts for the massive encounters waiting at the end of each island region. Boss battles in Splatoon Raiders stand out as some of the most complex multi-stage encounters the franchise has ever designed. Massive Leviathan-class salted salmonids guard the central vaults of each island biome, requiring precise mechanical execution rather than simple target shooting. Winning these fights forces you to manipulate arena mechanics, like using mechanic tools to overload ancient machinery, stripping away invulnerability shields, or leveraging bot buddy airstrikes during brief vulnerability windows. Bosses aggressively adapt across multiple phases, destroying terrain, flooding the field with hazardous saltwater, and forcing players to stay light on their feet. Victory demands tight coordination, sharp reflexes, and full utilization of every relic perk and weapon evolution built up during the run. Transitioning away from the high-stress action on the islands, player management and story progression anchor directly inside the hideout ship. This sprawling aquatic vessel serves as your persistent hub base where you prepare before launching back into the fray. Walking around the deck gives you direct access to crafting stations where the mechanic can assemble permanent tank upgrades, fine-tune weapon attachments, and test out new gear loadouts in a risk-free firing range. The ship also functions as a central narrative hangout where you can chat with Shiver, Fry, and Big Man to unlock optional backstory scenes, pick up side contracts, or just enjoy the banter between runs. Gathering resources out in the field feels genuinely rewarding because every piece of salvage directly upgrades upgrades your floating home base. Upgrading your ship's technology even helps you better manage your physical setup at home. When it comes to managing system storage on the Switch 2, Nintendo has delivered an incredibly optimized package with Splatoon Raiders. The game clocks in at a modest file size of roughly 13.1 gigabytes, packing a dense roguelite campaign and detailed island environments without eating up your entire storage space. This efficient footprint allows digital players to keep the title installed indefinitely alongside other heavy hitters without worrying about constant file management. Physical collectors also get the complete experience right on the cartridge, ensuring fast loading times and instant drop-in action without needing massive day-one mandatory downloads. That level of technical polish extends directly into physical accessories and hardware releases tied to the game launch. Hardware collectors and die-hard Splatoon fans have plenty to look forward to alongside the software release itself. Nintendo is rolling out a dedicated lineup of hardware tie-ins, headlined by a special edition set of deep-cut themed Joy-Con 2 controllers featuring vibrant neon accents and textured grips inspired by the game's tropical island aesthetic. Alongside the new controllers, a brand new wave of official amiibo figures featuring the mechanic and the deep-cut trio in their island exploration gear launches on day one. Tapping these figures in-game instantly grants exclusive cosmetic gear sets, unique locker decorations, and bonus soundtrack tracks to customize your base camp. Beyond physical collectibles, playing Raiders also yields substantial rewards in familiar territory across the franchise ecosystem. Dedicated players who are still actively grinding Splatoon 3 will find plenty of reasons to link their save files with Splatoon Raiders. Connecting your game data unlocks a suite of exclusive crossover rewards in Splatoon 3, including mechanic-themed worker overalls, specialized titles, and unique locker banners inspired by the Spirhalite Islands. Special-themed Splatfests celebrating the launch of Raiders are also scheduled to bring the celebration into the competitive scene, allowing players to represent their favorite deep-cut survival strategies in classic turf war matches. This integration bridges the gap between both titles, rewarding longtime multiplayer veterans while giving newcomers a seamless transition between the single-player adventure and competitive play. That distinction between play styles ultimately brings us to the final verdict on whether this spin-off belongs in your collection. At a standard retail price tag, Splatoon Raiders represents a deliberate shift in audience focus compared to traditional entries in the franchise, players seeking purely competitive. 4 vs 4 rank grinding might find the absence of standard ranked modes a bit jarring at first. Instead, this game is built explicitly for gamers who love rewarding action-adventure gameplay, rich single-player story campaigns, and cooperative survival gameplay reminiscent of titles like Hades or Side Order. The deep progression systems, varied island biomes, and high replayability deliver massive value for anyone who wants to experience the Splatoon universe through a fresh mechanical lens. Anyone craving tight action, combat, deep customization, and immersive world building will find this spin-off worth every penny on launch day. So what's our final verdict? Splatoon Raiders stands out as one of the boldest narrative and mechanical gambits Nintendo has taken with the franchise on the Switch 2. By stepping away from standard competitive multiplayer and leaning into run-based action, the development team has delivered a compelling, deeply satisfying adventure that honors the world building of the series while pushing its gameplay into exciting new territory. Whether you plan to brave the Spirhalite Islands completely solo or tackle every brutal boss alongside a 4-player squad, this spin-off delivers an absolute blast of fresh ink. Now, I want to hear from all of you down in the comments below. Will you pick this up on day one? Thank you all so much for watching, keep gaming, and I will catch you in the next video.